passion for fostering international communication, strong interpersonal skills that will make me an asset to the Global Taiwan Institute.
And so Folk's a great role model too.
In an intriguing but shocking video that took everyone by surprise in the entertainment world, Aleisha Allen finally spoke up after almost 20 years. She revealed a secret she had kept hidden for a long time that made her feel bad for most of her adult life. Why did Allen decide to leave the spotlight when she was so famous? And what secret did she share at last? Join us as we reveal the reality behind the glitz and glamour that was far darker than anyone could have imagined. The big reveal. Allen showed a lot of emotion as she talked about her story. Even after all these years, I was just a kid, she said. I didn't know how to deal with what was happening to me. As Allen shared the events that messed up her bright future, it was clear that being famous as a child had really hurt her. Even more upsetting were the claims of mistreatment that she had kept secret for so long. Her story was surprising, but unfortunately, it's not the only one. The entertainment world has a long history of not taking care of its most at-risk stars. From the sad endings of child actors like Judith Barsi and Haim, to the recent claims from former Nickelodeon stars, it's obvious that being famous can be especially hard for those who become successful when they are young. Many child actors, including Aleisha Allen, faced a confusing and often tough situation where it was hard to tell the difference between their personal lives and their work. Society expected them to act older than they were and deal with grown-up problems while they were still figuring out who they were and how to grow up. Sadly, like many young stars, Allen often felt that the adults around her treated her more like an object to be used rather than a young person who needed care, support, and protection. For Aleisha Allen, the decision to come forward was not an easy one. For years, she had been told to keep quiet to protect the reputations of those who had used her and the industry that had enabled them. She had been made to feel that her experiences were somehow her fault, that she should be grateful for the opportunities she had been given even as they came at such a high cost. But as Allen grew older, she began to realize the toll that her silence was taking on her mental health. She struggled with depression and anxiety, feeling isolated and misunderstood even by those closest to her. It wasn't until she began to connect with other survivors and advocates that she found the strength to speak her truth. "I'm not doing this for fame or attention," Allen said, addressing her fans directly. "I'm doing this because I know there are others out there who have been through what I've been through, and I want them to know they're not alone." Aleisha Allen was just 4 years old when she charmed audiences in her breakout role as Lindsay Kingston Persons on The Parenthood, starring opposite legends like Faison Love and Suzanne Douglas.
Remember, kids, sympathy sells.
Hey, Brenda.
Hey, what's that?
Allen quickly became a fan favorite. Her sassy one-liners and undeniable chemistry with her on-screen family, making her a standout in the ensemble cast. Over the show's 5-season run, viewers watched Allen grow from a precocious preschooler to a confident preteen. Her character Lindsay became a role model for young black girls. Her intelligence and wit, a refreshing change from the stereotypical portrayals that often plagued sitcom kids. However, beneath the surface, things were far from ideal. Allen disclosed that the overwhelming pressures associated with her newfound fame, coupled with the actions of the adults who were supposed to safeguard her well-being, were already beginning to exert a dark and troubling influence on her life. Cracks in the facade. The set of The Parenthood seemed like a fun and friendly place to the audience. However, as Allen spent more time in the entertainment world, she began to see problems behind the happy image. There were always older men around, she remembered. "At first I thought they were just fans, but looking back, they acted in ways that were not okay." Allen talked about times when she was emotionally manipulated, which she didn't fully understand as a kid. She shared experiences of being trapped in her dressing room, being touched inappropriately during photo shoots, and hearing rude comments that were passed off as jokes. Her parents, excited about her becoming a star, ignored the warning signs. Everyone kept saying, "This is how the business works," Allen remembered. "You don't want to be seen as difficult." So while most kids worried about schoolwork and playing, Allen learned to hide her pain and smile for the cameras. On the outside, Allen stayed professional, hitting her marks and saying her lines with the same charm that made her famous. But off-camera, she began to unravel. Plagued by nightmares and anxiety attacks, she retreated into herself, pushing away friends and family who couldn't understand what she was going through. "I felt so alone," Allen confessed, "like I was trapped in this nightmare and couldn't wake up." As the final season of The Parenthood wrapped, Allen made a decision that would shock fans and industry insiders alike. At just 13 years old, she walked away from Hollywood altogether. For years after her abrupt departure, Allen's whereabouts were a mystery. Rumors went around that she had fallen victim to substance overuse or crime, or that she had simply buckled under the pressure of fame. But the truth, as Allen revealed in her tell-all video, was far more complex. "I was just trying to survive," she explained. "I really needed some time to heal and figure out who I was without all the loudness and chaos around me." Allen shared how difficult it was for her to let go of the coping methods she had learned while being a child star. She had to learn to trust herself more and set boundaries for what was okay and what wasn't. During this time, she focused on her studies and eventually earned a degree in psychology. This shows how much she learned about how trauma can impact a person's mind and emotions. She realized that understanding these things was important for her own healing and growth. Even though she chose not to act again, Allen found great comfort and happiness in writing and directing. She focused her creativity on these activities to help her understand and deal with her difficult experiences. Breaking the silence. It was during the time when the #MeToo movement became popular that Allen started to think about sharing her own story. She saw many other people who had been hurt by harassment in the entertainment industry bravely telling their experiences. This made her feel a strong connection with them and gave her a sense of purpose. "I realized that I had a platform," Allen explained, "and I needed to use it responsibly." She reached out to other former child stars, many of whom had gone through similar tough times and challenges. Together, they created a support group and an advocacy organization. Their goal was to bring attention to the problems in the industry that had taken advantage of them. They wanted to make sure that others knew about the issues and that changes needed to happen to protect young performers. By working together, they hoped to create a safer environment for everyone in the entertainment world. In her video, Allen was careful to emphasize that her story is not unique. "This isn't just about me," she insisted. "It's about all the kids who have been ignored, treated unfairly, and hurt by an industry that cares more about money than people." Allen's story shocked many in the entertainment world. Just hours after she shared her video, she received a lot of supportive messages from fans and other survivors. However, she also got negative responses from people who wanted to make her look bad or stop her from speaking out. "I saw it coming," Allen said about the bad reactions. "There are powerful people who could lose a lot if the truth is revealed." She talked about getting scary messages and being threatened with legal action to make her take back her story, but Allen wouldn't let them silence her again. With the help of other survivors and knowing she was fighting for something important, she kept going, giving interviews and speaking at events. More people who had been hurt began to share their stories, showing that the problem was real. "It's not enough to just get rid of a few bad apples," Allen insisted. "We need systemic change. We need accountability and transparency and a complete overhaul of the way we treat child performers." She called for stronger protections for young actors, including mandatory background checks for all adults working with children, age-appropriate sex education and consent training, and a zero-tolerance policy for any form of harassment. As the entertainment industry grappled with the fallout of the child star scandal, Allen's advocacy began to have ripple effects beyond Hollywood. Parents started speaking out about the dangers of child stardom, sharing their own stories of the toll it had taken on their families. She turned her pain into a strong reason to act, using her voice to not just spread the word, but also to push for real changes in the industry. Slowly, as she worked harder, she began to see the real results of her efforts, which gave her hope and encouragement. The early beginning. A star is born in the Bronx. Aleisha Allen. Allen was born on April 28, 1991 in the Bronx, New York. Her parents are Otis and Angela Allen. When she was only 4 years old, she started appearing in ads and TV commercials. She felt comfortable in front of the camera, which helped her later in life. Her parents saw that she had a special talent. But they also knew it was important to be careful when a child works in entertainment. From the very beginning, maintaining good grades was part of the deal that allowed young Aleisha to continue pursuing her hobby of performing. This wasn't just a casual rule. It was a foundational principle that would shape her entire approach to life and career. In 1996, she got a fantastic opportunity when she was chosen to be the voice of Side Table Drawer in the very popular Nickelodeon show called Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues in the neighborhood? I'm so excited! Here's your notebook.
At only 6 years old, landing a role in such a famous educational show for kids was a really big deal. She brought this character to life in 127 episodes from 1996 to 2004, which made her a well-known figure for many children who watched the show. Being part of Blue's Clues not only helped her gain recognition, but also allowed her to connect with young audiences in a meaningful way. Blue's Clues wasn't just another children's show. It was an educational phenomenon that revolutionized programming for young audiences. The show taught problem-solving, critical thinking, and communication skills, themes that would resurface later in Allen's professional life in unexpected ways. What made Allen's experience particularly valuable was that she wasn't just reading lines. She was part of a show that genuinely cared about child development and helping children learn to express themselves. Alongside her voice work on Blue's Clues, Allen also became a series regular on Playhouse Disney's Out of the Box, further establishing herself as a familiar face to young audiences across America.
Little Red got a call from his...
Even though television had made Allen a famous name loved by kids and their parents, Hollywood was watching her closely, and a big movie chance was about to take her to a whole new level of fame that she had never known before. School of Rock, breaking into feature films. In 2003, 12-year-old Aleisha Allen landed a role that would introduce her to an entirely new audience. Cast as Aleisha, affectionately nicknamed Braceface by Jack Black's character in the comedy film School of Rock, Allen delivered a memorable performance that showcased her comedic timing. Her line, "I say we get out of here and play the damn show," became a fan favorite.
Mr. S was cool. We worked too long and too hard not to play the show.
I say we get out of here and play the damn show.
Demonstrating she could hold her own alongside established Hollywood talent. School of Rock was more than just another credit on her resume. The film grossed over $131 million worldwide and became a cultural touchstone. The movie was directed by Richard Linklater and written by Mike White. It showed how powerful music can be and encouraged kids to express themselves. Allen acted well with Jack Black, Joan Cusack, and Miranda Cosgrove, showing she could do more than just voice acting and kids' TV shows. The cast became close friends, and even years later, they would have reunions with cast members who took different paths in life. In 2005, Allen got her most famous role in Are We There Yet?, where she played Lindsay Kingston, the older daughter who made things difficult for Ice Cube's character Nick during a messy road trip. The movie did really well, making $97 million around the world. Allen worked great with her co-star Philip Bolden, turning what could have been a regular family comedy into something that really touched people's feelings. It showed the complicated feelings of a child who acts out not because she is mean, but because she is hurting from her family's changes. Because of this success, Allen played the same character again in the 2007 sequel Are We Done Yet? By then she had worked with big names in entertainment like Jack Black, Ice Cube, and Nia Long. She went to the well-known Professional Performing Arts School in Manhattan and won the Best Dressed award from her class in 2009. Many young actors who become really famous often think they have to stay in Hollywood. They are always searching for new acting jobs to keep their popularity. Usually, the next step for them is to take on more movie roles, or even star in a TV show, so that everyone knows who they are in the entertainment world. However, Allen had a different way of thinking about her future. She remembered the lessons her parents taught her about how important education is. These lessons were starting to grow in her mind and become more significant in her life. She realized that while acting was fun and exciting, getting a good education would help her in the long run. Allen understood that having a solid foundation in learning could open many doors for her in the future. even if she decided to step away from acting. She wanted to make sure she was prepared for whatever came next in her life, whether it was in Hollywood or somewhere else entirely. While Hollywood continued to offer opportunities and her star continued to rise, Allen was quietly contemplating a choice that would shock everyone who knew her. A choice that would take her away from cameras forever. The decision to walk away. Following her role in the 2012 film You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You, which was produced by the renowned filmmaker Spike Lee.
Oh, so you are working the case. That's what's up.
His album was supposed to drop this week.
So, like, is he dead for real,
Allen made a decision that took many by surprise. She chose to walk away from the world of acting entirely. At the young age of 21, despite having a successful track record and possessing industry connections that most aspiring actors would envy and dream of having, she made the bold choice to stop auditioning altogether and completely stepped out of the spotlight that had once shone brightly on her. The decision was not impulsive. Just like many child actor stories are marked by exploitation or burnout, Allen's departure came from clarity and purpose. She had spent her entire childhood in front of cameras, and while she had fond memories, she had realized that performing wasn't her calling. It was something she had done, not who she was. While her former colleagues continued pursuing acting roles, Allen enrolled at Pace University, earning a bachelor's degree in communication sciences and disorders in 2013. In 2016, she completed a Master of Science degree from Columbia University, specializing in speech-language pathology. The girl who had spent years helping children learn through Blue's Clues had found her true calling. Today, Aleisha Allen lives a life that would be unrecognizable to fans who remember her as Lindsay Kingston or the voice of Side Table Drawer. She works as a healthcare professional, helping people find their voices in a completely different way. Her days are spent conducting assessments, developing treatment plans, and working with clients who struggle with speech and communication disorders. In January 2020, Aleisha Allen took on an important job as a clinical instructor and supervisor at Teachers College, Columbia University. In this role, she worked hard to teach and guide future speech-language pathologists. She shared her knowledge and experience to help shape the careers of professionals who would help people with communication problems. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she focused on helping patients recovering from the virus, many of whom had issues with speaking and swallowing. Her dedication to these patients showed her kindness and skill, as she provided important support and therapy during a tough time for many. Allen tends to keep a relatively low profile on social media platforms, where she occasionally shares nostalgic throwback photos from her past experiences and takes the time to celebrate significant milestones alongside her former co-stars. When the cast members of School of Rock come together for reunions, she sometimes makes an appearance, demonstrating that although she has moved on to new endeavors, she still cherishes and holds dear the fond memories from that particular chapter of her life. What do you think about Aleisha Allen's story? Should more young performers be encouraged to pursue education and alternative careers? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.